Hello everyone, this is David, and I'm just waiting here that the two Bowmans are joining me for this Facebook Live doing business in this reality. Where are they? Okay, one moment please, I need to wait until they get on. Hello everyone, hey Saskia, here they are. Wait. Okay. One more minute, please. Connecting. Hey, here they are.
Hi.
Hello. So I hope that
Are
works
we the
now.
right side? David, we don't know how to do screen lock on our phone. So are we on the side where to you?
Well, I can see you.
Okay.
I can see you. Let's see if someone can post if they see us sideways or upright. Let's see if we're doing this right now. After our disaster in Rome, normally you don't make the same mistake twice, but we are different, aren't we?
Yeah, well, after the 920s, it'll be all different. We'll have it sorted out.
So actually, I think it doesn't matter. If we are sideways, then everybody just has to turn around and watch like this.
I have made us the right side up after.
Oh yeah, you changed it.
Yes,
you're the technical miracle.
I'm transforming it. I did the 920 to it.
So good morning to Australia, good evening to Europe, and whoever is watching from the United States, it's noon there. Welcome to this Facebook Live. We're talking about doing business in this reality. Doing it the normal way? No. Doing it different? Yes. And what does that mean? This is what we're going to talk about today. As most of you probably know, I am a lawyer and Steve and Chatissa are international business consultants. And we both have one big thing in common. We do business a little different than everybody else. And we want to share a little bit of this with you, what we do different, how we do it different, and why we have so much fun doing that. Well, Steve, do you want to start? Do you want to give us a little insight on how you do this and what it actually means?
So one of the title of this Facebook Live really is Doing Business in This Reality. So one of the things that we have a lot of fun doing, we know David does this as well, is to understand a little of how this reality works, use it, but don't buy it as real. So actually create from outside of this reality, but in a way that this reality can actually receive. So just yesterday, for example, I had a full day in-house workshop with the board of directors for all of the scientists in Australia. And we spent the day, they thought, talking about strategy and risk, but we in fact were talking about being the question and what that looked like. And so understanding how this reality works and understanding some of the language that people use, then manipulating so that they're willing to receive, but at the same time provide them with possibilities that they hadn't otherwise considered, makes a very successful business.
It does, and it's more fun because a lot of people, my experience is, people often resist the way big business is done because they consider it as unfair, as stupid, as focusing on problems, focusing on risk. Resisting something that exists is not fun. It actually creates stress and it doesn't create more. So I think what we are doing different when we are doing business in this reality, we know how this reality works, but we don't resist it. We are more or less in allowance, even if these businesses are choosing strange strategies. They most of the time function from fear. They try to avoid risk rather than asking a question and being the question. And what we actually do, we are being the question, and we are being in allowance with what they are. And this is where change can happen. And this is where your business is turned into fun rather than resisting it or being stressed or looking at the risk as well. I just did a tour through China. China functions from fear as no other country in this that I have visited so far. And it was amazing how people are driven by the fears of others, by the fear of losing, by the fear of making a mistake. They force themselves to only make the right decisions. And what does that create? Nothing moves anymore because people don't want to choose anymore. They just want to choose the right thing. And this is when they start waiting and waiting and waiting. I think we don't wait, we just create. And we also have a different point of view what failing means in this reality. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So it's interesting in what we're talking about here, David, because and I know this is one of the things you always talk about is having fun in business. And I just had a bit of an aha moment. When you choose to have no judgment about what you're doing or what others are doing, then you'll have fun in business. As soon as you're not having fun in something, it's probably because you've got some sort of judgment either about yourself or about the people that you're dealing with. So if you have any judgments about what you think business is or should be or isn't or shouldn't be or has to be, then that cannot be fun because none of that will meet your judgment of what you've already decided the business should be. So one of the things that we invite everyone who's listening to do this is to destroy and uncreate any judgments that you've got, good or bad. You know, a good judgment, they make a lot of money, I want some of it. A bad judgment, they are raping and pillaging our earth. They're just judgments. If you're willing to destroy all of those judgments and see things for as they are, that's a business.
I think what we're looking at is this class going to be straight after 9 trainees in Dublin. And with the tools and the more awareness that we all going to gain after you coming to the 9 trainees, and when you come to our class, you'll be able to use all of your tools and the awareness to create totally different possibilities in your business and in your life as well. Because, you know, the title that we all have is, are you ready to upgrade your business? And your life is your business. So are you ready to upgrade your business and create from totally different place? We did this 9 training with Gary and then in Copenhagen about 3, 4, 5 years ago. And we actually saw and be part of using the 9 trainees in action then. After the 9 trainees finished, and Gary said to us, hey, are you guys, do you want to fly to Italy to have a look at this castle? And we said, sure, let's do it. So the next morning we got the flight straight, to this amazing castle that in Italy. And the 9 trainees started then, isn't it, David?
Well.
and look at it now. It's so transmutation, transformation, transfiguration,
transmogrification, my favorite word.
And that's pre-David. And with the 9 trainees, David just manifested into the computation of the castle. And I think that is part of the 9 trainees, you know, Gary able to meet the question and say, who could we invite to play with to actually create this beyond what we could ever imagine? Because when we first saw that castle, it was just unloved, unkept, everything with the "and" in front, and we look at it, and I knew Gary was asking the question, and we knew that it's required someone to actually be part of this. And before long, poof, you were there, David. So,
yes. And as you know, we are going to open the boutique hotel in the castle now in September, which is something that nobody ever believed when we started the project 2 years ago. And it's actually a brilliant example how you can do business in this reality, and using this reality to your advantage rather than buying into the limitations. I have never had a project where so many people said it doesn't work, you can't do it that way, that won't work. They used everything to stop us, but not because they wanted to stop us, they were afraid to fail. So what we were being, and this is actually the fun part of this project, because all the people that are involved are an amazing contribution. Whenever something came up, we didn't go into shit, we did this wrong, it can't happen. We kept being, first of all, we never gave up, we never quit. We were always asking for more, whatever showed up. We were asking, okay, what else is possible? At the same time, we didn't resist this reality. So there are quite funny Italian regulations that we just need to respect. We have to pay a lot of money to get a license to run a hotel. We have to build 50 parking spaces. All the things that normal people would just avoid, we turned it actually into an even bigger project, and now used this limitation to create what we call a public-private partnership, where we turn the entire historic city center into a car-free zone. We said, well, if we have to build 50 parking places, why don't we add 20 more and move all the cars outside of the city center? Which, on the other hand, created an amazing wow at the government, and now they are supporting us again. So wherever there was a situation, what you call now you're stuck, we actually added more and created beyond it. And this is actually, yes, go ahead.
No, and that's what you described there, David, is transpiration in action. You know, it's the ability to change something that is going to transpire into the future into something totally different. You know, and people think that when you look at the Nine Trendies, it's magical mystery, that it's not. But what we are doing and what you have been doing with the castle is actually using all those Nine Trendies to actually create something totally different. And what you just described there is the number one is a transpiration, is about seeing the future and about ability to change something that's going to transpire in the future into something totally different. So that's a good example of one. But another one that I love is you, David, is the transliteration of magnitude. And I want to actually get energy, space, and consciousness of how you transliterate, because that's what I be. At the moment, that's the one that I am still not fully embrace it. So when I come see you next time, you have to be my guru and help me to transliteration with total ease.
Transliteration is where you can speak and understand all languages, which include the language of business, includes the language of this reality, includes the language of idiots, it includes the language of really smart people, but it's actually understanding and using the language.
Yeah, I claim on and acknowledge that I have capacity to do the transliteration with languages, with writing, with my capacity to create and generate. And somehow I still not choosing to be able to understand all languages. I can understand the energy, but I would love to be able to speak Italian with just 50 words like you did.
Like you do.
Well, I know 50 words, but what I'm not afraid to fail, because I know when people, I mean, German is a very strange language. Not a lot of people speak it. But I know when people start speaking German to me and just using 10, 15 words, it's actually honoring my culture. And I don't care what mistakes they make, what wrong grammar they are using. I actually admire them. They are willing to just try it with the few words they have available. So this is what I do now in Italy. With my 50 words that I know, I just put one word after the other together. It actually creates a situation where people engage with you, they correct you, they teach you more, you automatically interact. So I don't want to be perfect when I speak my super basic Italian. First of all, I'm really impatient and I hate that I'm not fluent yet, but this is another topic. But it also shows the people there that this is something we truly desire. It's not, we're not doing this just for business, it's more. And using their
maybe
language,
there is a
using their language is
maybe
actually,
there is a class, David,
about transliteration. Well, I'll do it. I'll do
Yes.
it standard. Yeah, this is actually what you learn, because speaking a different language, the first thing you need to get is you need to get energetically what people want to hear, want to talk, what they can receive. And speaking a different language also means, when you speak in your mother language, that you use the words that people can receive, that you use language that people can receive. In this reality, you would say to use the appropriate words. I would actually say use the words that people can receive. And this is what I personally love about the 920s tools. You learn how to sense it and how to get when is what required. You get so much more awareness of what's required in a certain situation, because there is no plan, there is no right tool, there's no right way to do it. You have to be really present. And once you train that muscle to be present, it's way easier to speak the language that's actually required. And I'm not talking about language as a language, I'm talking about the energy, the words you're using, even if it's in your mother language. And that's a big difference. And this is actually what I so adore about you two. When you talk to board members, when you talk to NGOs, to supervisory boards, the language you're using, it is such an invitation, and it's such a gift to be able to listen to you when you actually do that. You're such an invitation, an inspiration to change. When you two talk to people, they just have to change because it's so inviting. Maybe you can give us an example.
I think you actually said it right at the beginning. It's about we never resist or react or fight this reality. And the key is to actually be aware of how this reality actually functions in. And now we have tools of the 920s and the tool of access that we can use it to play with this reality and to manipulate, to invite, to inspire, to actually use all the tools to create totally different possibilities that people don't even know what's happening in that space. And you know, we've been doing access for quite a while now, and the more tools we use while we are being with people, it's just so amazing to walk away and just have so much fun with it. And I really adore 920s too, though, because it seems like magical, but it's not magical because we still have to be and do something different in this reality. It's not like, I know it's all about the energy, it's about being that energy. So if we can be the energy of the 920s, and it's not about, oh, go to the 920s and actually have the hammer or the tool, this kind of thing, to actually fix something, because we walk away with that energy. And then when the people come and be with us, then we could facilitate them to see how they can be, do, have, create, and generate everything with total ease in the world, in the business world, or in their life, being that energy and apply all the tools to totally change, to create different possibilities. Does that make sense when we say that?
Yes, because we do that in our daily job. So we have a lot of examples. I personally have way more ease in practicing the tools when people give me examples. So just reading or listening to a theory is one part, but being that or doing that in real life is a different story. And just by giving examples, what we did, the castle is just one project we can use. There are many others. There is El Lugar, which is a miracle of its own as well. But it's not only that; it's our daily life. It's just every creation of a class, a creating of your own business, starting to facilitate, to actually give people ways to be the tools all the time and to not buy into the reality and to keep training themselves. You don't just choose once and then life is great and fun. You need to choose in order to affect the change, but then you need start doing stuff. And most of the time when people go back to doing stuff, they go back into buying into other people's reality. And this is where being present and reminding yourself on a daily basis not to do that. I want to give people examples how that could look like in their own business, whatever business they run. If it's a sales business, a consulting business, an art business, whatever, it works everywhere. So this is actually what I'm really looking forward. A lot of questions from people, because the more questions we will get, the more examples we can bring. And that's actually the fun part, facilitating a class with you, because once a question comes in, we then get creative and can find ways how to get around it. This is the fun part.
I think between the three of us, we have a lot of examples. Particularly, we've been in business for 30 years. And, we actually have a lot of examples, but we only can bring it into a being and talk to people when people ask us questions. The key thing about, I would love to say is, I sense that I'm claim on and acknowledge out of the 9 trainees, the 8th one pretty nicely in the way we create our life and our business. The one that I'm still playing with it and practicing with it is transmigration. David, maybe between you and us, we can actually claim on and acknowledge our ability to transmigrate. How about you? Have you perfected or mastering the transmigration yet?
And this is the ability to move from one location to another without cars, airplane, or anything. Actually migrating across space and time and making time work for you.
I have a feeling, David, that you are actually already doing transmigration, but not sharing the secret, because I keep seeing you 1 minute in Milan, the next minute in somewhere else, the next minute in Costa Rica, and the next minute, and I say, he has mastering the transmigration, but he's not sharing with anyone yet.
Google Maps has trouble keeping up with you.
That's actually easy. I just love traveling. I love traveling. So this is why, it's actually when I always wanted to travel. I remember when I was 6 years old and I went to the airport for the first time, I knew, okay, this is where I belong to. I want to travel. So I don't really have a point of view, and traveling is not exhausting for me. It actually gives me energy. So landing from China on Thursday night, going to Paris on Friday noon, coming back Saturday morning, going to Milan Saturday night, it's heaven for me. And it's not exhausting at all. It's actually a brilliant example that your point of view creates your reality. So many people ask me, you don't get tired? And I said, what? No, I want more of that. It's the excitement behind it that makes it easier being that.
One of the interesting things about about this session that we'll be running with you, David, for the people that attend either in person or you can come on audio live as well, is that we'll actually, one of the exciting things is that half the battle is knowing that these things are possible. So the 9 trannies, for example, the transformation, the transmigration also, just knowing that it's possible that you can bend time, then you start to go into that sense of curiosity. Well, I wonder what that would be like in my life. I wonder what that would be like in my business. I wonder what that would be like generally. Because if you're not even aware that it's a possibility, then you won't even go looking for it. If you are aware it's a possibility, then you can use it shamelessly in everything.
Oh, yes. And the good thing is, I mean, it doesn't start from one day to the other. The fun part is being it every day. The fun part is playing with it. So what I love about facilitating with you and doing these classes with you, you'd never stress yourself. You take it easy all the time, and whatever shows up, okay, it's one choice after the other, and nothing has to happen instantaneously. You never freak out, you're never stressed. So this is actually what I want to get out of you guys on this one day, because I do get that I still get stressed, especially when things don't show up as I had them in mind immediately. You have this total ease with difficult situations, and I hope that you will share more of that in the class. If nobody asked the question, I will do it only because I'm sitting on stage as well. Doesn't mean that I can't ask questions, but this is something I really adore you for, your allowance, your level of peace. I'm curious to learn more where that comes from and how you train that every day, because this is what I see. This is what makes you the invitation to do business with you. And this is actually what I think is one of the key elements when you run your own business, being an invitation for others and being also an inspiration of doing business. That doesn't mean that you only focus on what will bring me clients, what will make my business grow. It's an overall inspiration of being. It's way more than just the business. The business is one part, but I think it's way more than just the business, because you are that in your private life as well. It's your state of being.
You know, when you said where did it come from just before, and it just the awareness I got is it came from that the 10 keys to total freedom from access consciousness tools. You know, no form, no structure, no significance. I think we what if, since we've heard about the 10 keys, we're looking at how we could implement all of that into our life, into our relationship. Like without those 10 keys, you know, our relationship, particularly we working together 24/7 and being in the same space a lot, without those 10 keys, we probably wouldn't have the ease that we are having. And I adore no form, no structure, no significance, because nothing is really, really significant to us. And particularly if we can trust that we have capacity to create, generate, create anything, could anything have any form, structure, and significance? Can we actually use the 9 trannies to change anything with total ease when we need to do it? And when we actually added that other thing about needlessness and desirelessness into the computation of the whole thing, it's create the combination of the 10 keys to total freedom, the 9 trannies, the ability to be a choosing one, the ability to have no need for anyone or anything. It's all coming together and allow us to really, you know, flow with everything, and it's all the access tools that we all know and love to so well. If we actually even attended the foundation, we already been introduced to most of these anyway. But what you and us, David, able to actually do is to take all of these tools that Access have that's so wonderful, and we actually truly apply to our life and create something that people see it as magic. For example, you have a super successful business as a law firm, but you're never
there. Well, I'm there energetically, and this is actually what I love to talk about this. We function from no form, no structure, and from chaos and from irrational. But I do have an organization. My office is perfectly organized in order to allow me to travel. So this is actually one part that I want to share with others, especially during our one-day class. We do have a structure, an organizational structure. So there is someone answers the phone, someone answers the emails. We do our taxes. We send out proposals. So we do things that look like form and structure, but we don't function from it. So we use it to our advantage. We never let those structures limit us. And this is a big difference, because what I saw, some people who try to start their Access business, they kind of think that having no form, no structure, and living from chaos means, that their business can be chaotic as well. That doesn't really work if you want to be successful in this reality. And it's a perfect example how you can use the tools in this reality and do business in this reality.
It's where you're using the structures and the systems of this reality to actually create, not destroy.
Yes.
And so what we've got a new staff member starting today. Young Rob, who many of you have met, is moving on to something he's very excited by, and we're very excited to see his next phase in his life. We've got Anna joining us. One of her key roles is to make the systems and the structures for our global businesses make our life easier. And that's really, and her only question has been, in the last 2 weeks, how can I make your life easier? How can I make your life easier? And it's a very different energy than I'm coming to work.
Oh, yes.
The three of us are creating a global business. And
that's David, you and I.
David, you and I. And it's so seamless for us to do that. And from the class, we can actually talk to people if they're interested in what it would take to put the structure, the system, and the energy, space, and consciousness that they all can be that. So what I love is that's why I created the website for us to promote this class called Business Life Across Border. Beyond border.
Beyond, it's beyond.
Beyond across. I
think it's beyond.
Business life beyond borders. And it has such a wonderful energy because, you and us are from beyond borders, and we are together and we create something totally beyond this reality, really. So beyond borders is almost like beyond these realities. We able to even look at, okay, so how could we actually have a super uber successful business without having to actually physically be there, but energetically we can be everywhere and create and generate and be like a puppet master that allow the whole world to be
manipulated by us.
Yeah, to be created and generated by us. And what else can we create together, David? Business life beyond borders. I think it has so much more than just this one-day class. It's something that's I feel that's huge. What 9 trainees can we be that would allow business life beyond border to be a contribution to the business world with Total Ease?
Well, it is already, because we decided to do this one-day class together, which is actually the first one-day class we are facilitating together. And we didn't start with the whole thing at one time. We started with an evening taster in Australia last year, and it was fun. So we did it again, and we said, okay, and what else? So we just followed the energy and did what was fun for us, at the same time creating a business and setting up a structure to make sure that it can grow beyond. And this is actually what I really enjoy doing. We do what it takes, but we don't ignore what this reality requires. At the same time, we don't avoid and resist it. So it's actually gifting and receiving, a game of gifting and receiving with this reality, by not avoiding it, by being an allowance of it, and by having no judgment of it. And I like this combination, because I always get, when I work on one of those projects, it doesn't feel like working. It's just having fun, and by that making money and creating more. And this is what I would share with others, because once you live from that stage, if you don't have the feeling you have to work anymore, if you do not depend on clients, if you don't force yourself, life is way, way easier and more fun.
David, one thing that I, ever since we met you, one thing I noticed that you are such a phenomenal mover. Like, I've never met anyone who have capacity to move, to like, it's just like a symphony of 9 trannies in action, watching you moving stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure you would feel as think and talk about you when we hear about what you've done, and we said, how did he do that? My God, his capacity to actually move something, like, it's just a beyond. And you know, that energy, space, and consciousness that allow you to physical actualize stuff from something that's zero ground is amazing. But I would just actually, when you were talking about that, I would like to also say that if you haven't been to our intro class, either in Sunshine Coast on Australia or in Rome, on our website, we actually put that for people to be able to purchase the download. And they are in so many languages. And yes, the proceed will go to Project Possibilities when you download that. So if you wanted to listen to some of the 2 classes, I think they're all in about 10 languages in some of these. So, yeah.
And the 2 evening tasters, what, pardon me?
It's $95 or something.
No, more than that. It's how much? I can't remember. It's on the website.
It's all on the website, yeah. And what I loved about the evening tasters, that so many people, I think everybody who has joined the 2 evening tasters, they have so many ideas and dreams and visions, and they are so ready to start. And then there's this one missing link where they just don't know how, where, or whatever limitation they have. And with asking one question and giving them one example how we did it, poof, a light bulb gets turned on and they start moving. And this is what I love about it. Sometimes it just takes a little twist or to untwist one limitation, and everything just rolls out. So it's actually not a long process, especially with people who have ideas, and everybody who is on here and watching us is actually desiring more, otherwise they wouldn't watch us. So whatever stucks you, it doesn't have to be significant. It's probably just one little thing that needs to be moved from here, from left to right, from right to left. Maybe it just destroys some mindset that you put in, some limitation you bought, some past experience. A lot of people had one bad experience 15 years ago when they wanted to start their own business, and now they decided they can't do it, or they are so afraid to fail again that they would never start again. Helping people to get over that, or helping people to jump off the cliff and actually show them that there is no other possibility than spreading your wings and fly. I think this is what this class is about. Jump off the cliff and we'll show you how to fly.
And most of the time, the limitations are just so small. But because they are not aware of it, and they make that small limitation into something so huge. And I think the space that we are being like in the class, generative energy space and consciousness, that we're willing people to see that they have choice. But at the end, we create a space for people to choose. We can't actually push them to jump off the cliff. That would be too easy for us to push, right? But at the end,
well,
people still have to choose.
What we do, we go to the cliff, we jump, we fly, and we tell them how we did it, how they could do it. We just talk about it and give them actually an idea that jumping off the cliff is not as significant and as difficult as they have thought. Actually, I think that is the gift, because at the end, what's the worst case? If you fall, well, you stand up and keep walking, because we don't function from risk, we don't function from failure, we function from question. And I think this is the gift of the three of us. You can't really fail, because you can always start over again and create more and more and more. This is what we did.
Yeah, I think that's part of the secret there is what else can we add to our life? What else can I add to my life? What else can I add to my life? Oh, that's pretty cool. What else? Why not? Why not? Why not? What else can I add to my life? It's that sort of energy of never trying to, and this is what we find in our own businesses, never trying to get anything right, because we don't even know what that is. And because we've got so many things being created all the time, it doesn't matter. So this is where the whole notion of being able to bend time and to actually create from a space that most people look at you and say, how do you find the time to do that? Well, you don't find the time, it's just there.
Yes.
So these sorts of questions, but also knowing that it's possible, because what we find with most people is when they have already got a full-time job, for example, and they say, well, I've got a full-time job, I can't do anything else. That's already conclusion that they've gone into, that there is nothing else possible. What if we changed our point of view about all of this and said, okay, so I'm doing this and what else? And I'm doing this and what else? And I'm doing this, what else? Because that point of view is what folds time.
Exactly. And people always forget, once they are really excited about something, time doesn't matter. When you, especially for corporate employees who have to do business hours and are really busy, or work a lot of hours, or have to be present in the office a lot of hours, once they do something they totally enjoy and they are excited about, time will be there to do it. It's just, they'll find a way. They just limit themselves and don't consider it as a possibility. But once they have this untwisted, they're off. They lift off and start.
Yeah, and most people always, I mean, a lot of people when we speak, when we often talk to them, they always say, how? We would like to invite the people to know that it's not a how, it's a choice, and it's about the knowing that it's truly possible. And it's, if we can let go of the how and be willing to choose it and be willing to have it, the how and what would it take will show up in itself without you having to have the how first. So like we all, the three of us here, we all make the choice and then we create it. Even this class, you know, we were talking about it and it said, oh, would it be fun? You want to choose it? Yes. Okay. Well, let's choose it. And then, you know, we don't actually go into have a structure and the plan and the thing. We just say, well, we're making the choice to choose and then let's do it.
Yeah.
And here we
choice
are.
First. It's choice first. So many people, this is actually what the last thing that we give away. So many people try to figure it out in their head before they choose. Why do they do that? Because they want to make the right choice. That doesn't really work. Figuring something out in your head is focusing on one possibility, but there are thousands out there. So by figuring something out or focusing on one strategy or one particular plan that you have in mind, always excludes everything else that's possible. So figuring out something in your head and focusing is something we don't do, we choose, and then see what shows up. And when something shows up, we choose again, and something else shows up, and then we choose again.
I love some of the conversations that we have with CEOs around the world, because these conversations in all sorts of different ways go something like this. Okay, so says I, all you have to do is choose. CEO says, well, what if I choose wrong? Doesn't matter, just choose. Well, how do I choose? Just choose. Well, what if it's not the right sort of choice? Well, change the choice. But what if I don't know what to change? Well, then choose differently. And it really throws people around, because it gets people to the state where they realize that there is no wrong choice. And the only thing that will screw your life up and screw your business up is if you're not willing to change when something needs to change. And people have this whole notion of change management as something that's horrible, and we've got to have a change management program in place, and we've got to do all these things, and change is difficult. Well, what if it wasn't about change? What if it was just, well, what's a different choice we've got here?
I think what we actually, you and I created in the world already is we both has been the CEO and the executive leadership of major organization. And most CEO think that they got to the top of the thing, and they're so fearful about losing their position, so fearful about not knowing what else they could create, and just hanging on to their position so tightly. And for us to be who we are being in our business and what we are creating in our life, in our business, we are actually giving them space to see that they don't have to hang on to their status, their position, because they know that if we could create it, they could create it too. So I think we created space for people to know that, you know, you don't have to fight to hang on to your position as the leader. If you are truly a leader, you can create your life anywhere you like to, and it's so much more fun when you don't have to be under the control of any corporation. Anyway, for us, we can actually walk in, change the energy, change the people, and walk out, and we have the choice to be needless of anyone.
We get paid an awful lot of money to wedge and walk. Put a wedgie in.
Yeah, I love
and say,
it. That's our
bye-bye.
job. Wedge and walk and get paid. How does it?
Well, this is actually, this is what I so love listening to your stories, how you mess with supervisory boards. And it always creates more. It's fun for you, it's an income stream, and it creates more because people do get that it works. So it's not just about making money, it's about creating change in the world. So this is actually what brought us together was, maybe we talk a little bit about it, benevolent capitalism, being a benevolent leader, not just doing it for your own benefit, including the world, including nature, and doing it for the benefit of everyone involved. Once you function from that, you will always create greater.
Yeah, very
absolutely
true. And we'll probably spend more time on the day in Dublin talking a little bit about what benevolent capitalism looks like in this reality, because each and every one of us can actually be the custodian and the instigator of major change in our society, no matter who we are, no matter what we're doing, by being aware that every choice that we make creates the future. And if you have in your energetic awareness that the choices that you make can actually create greater futures by including and not excluding, then that leads you to look at how you actually might create your business and your life from a slightly different place that this world actually requires.
And it will also be a conversation about competition, excluding, fighting against, or including and creating more together. So we should have probably scheduled a 2-day class. There are so many things I want to talk about. Well, maybe
Hey,
next
David,
time.
David, are we going to do a Zoom before Dublin, or are we just going to let them yearning for more until we get to Dublin?
Let's do a Zoom.
Okay, well, we'll schedule it.
We could do a
This is-
Zoom, yeah.
For those watching, this is creation in the making.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a Zoom. Let's do a Zoom, because then people could actually start asking little questions. A little
Okay,
question
well,
is a
let's
question
do
with a
that.
maximum of 5 words. So no storytelling. Straight to the point.
So Doris already in action, is she? She's already creating the Zoom. I can see some Skype come up. I didn't know
Well,
what
it's funny because Doris just wrote there, because I'm, you know, do you know,
I
one of,
can't see what Doris
you
said.
probably
I saw
know
her
this,
name.
David, but one of the hallmarks of a very successful CEO is the ability to read upside down and sideways. I can read very well sideways. So Doris actually said that we've had registrations coming in for Dublin during this Facebook Live.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay, so
Okay.
thanks very much, David. This has been fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much
here.
for
There's
getting
been
up
some
this early.
There's been some real gems in this one. So everyone watch out. In about probably a week and a half or 2 weeks, we'll announce a Zoom where you'll be able to join us and actually ask questions, participate, and not just send love hearts, but actually, you know, have some questions that you can ask. You can still send love hearts.
And you still can actually download that the intro session if you go on to Business Live Beyond Borders.com.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you
We'll
so
finish up
much.
there. Thank you, David.
Have a wonderful day. Yeah, next information will be the dates of our Zoom. Okay. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.